People often assume because I'm a doctor obsessed with my gut health, my diet is packed with high-fiber foods and supplements that sound more like a Wi-Fi code than anything else. But the truth is far less exciting, because as a busy new dad, most of my gut health boils down to 5 very ordinary foods that are cheap, easy to find, and require almost no preparation. These are the foods I always come back to because I can rely on them to do the heavy lifting for my microbiome and gut even when life gets very messy. One of them is the easiest upgrade you can make to your morning starting tomorrow, while number 5 is the one almost everyone avoids for completely the wrong reason. And by the end of this video, you know exactly what to buy on your next supermarket trip if you want to create a super gut without making your life more complicated. First up is a fruit that's been shown to treat constipation better than some laxatives. A 2021 randomized controlled trial pitted this fruit in a fruit-based cage fight against 2 other popular constipation remedies, psyllium husk, disgusting, and prunes. Now, this fruit that I'm talking about performed about as well as the other 2 at improving symptoms, but it was better tolerated than the other 2 by a country mile. Only 7% of participants reported being dissatisfied with it, compared to 38% being unhappy with psyllium husk. And that is important because the best treatment is always the one that people can actually stick with. So what is this miraculous fruit? The humble kiwi. Now, this study wasn't a fluke because earlier trials found that 2 kiwi fruit a day improved bowel function in people with constipation-dominant IBS, while other reviews have explained why. Kiwi fruit's cell walls have an unusually high water-holding capacity, which allows them to swell and hold water in the colon, which is a big part of why they help you fly on the Hershey Highway. The really crazy thing is that most people who eat kiwis throw away the most nutritious part. So to get the best out of this fiber bomb, you need to munch down on that furry skin. Stop sniggering in the back, because that is where a big chunk of the fiber is. Take it from me, the texture is less strange than your disgusting imagination right now, you filthy animal. So the simple kiwi does 3 jobs at once: soluble fiber that gels and holds water, insoluble fiber that adds bulk, and a natural enzyme called actinidin that helps to break down protein and ease digestion. Plus, it's got more vitamin C than an orange. If you change one thing tomorrow, make it this. Next up is one of the rare foods that's high fiber, low sugar, low calorie, loaded with polyphenols, and importantly doesn't taste like punishment. That combination is genuinely hard to find. The numbers surprise people as well, because 8 grams of fiber can be found in a single cup for just 65 calories. I'm obviously talking about raspberries. There's almost no other sweet thing that gives you that kind of deal. Even other berries like strawberries and blueberries only have about half that amount of fiber, but the fiber's only half the story when it comes to berries. A 2024 systematic review of randomized controlled trials found that regular berry intake increased beneficial bacteria like bifidobacterium, and it boosted short-chain fatty acid production, that stuff which really fuels your gut lining. There was also a randomized trial showing that blueberry consumption shifted the gut microbiome in older adults towards better polyphenol metabolism. And it goes even deeper, because your bacteria take certain polyphenols in berries, like the elegant tannins in raspberries and strawberries, and they convert them into compounds called urolithins, which are being actively researched for anti-inflammatory and cellular health effects. So the benefit pretty much depends on having healthy bugs to do the conversion, so feed them with fiber and polyphenols, and then they pay you back. You can think of berries as basically Uber Eats for your gut bacteria. If Uber Eats only delivered fiber and polyphenols and not mild regret the following day, and you won't even have to feel guilty about not tipping them. I usually have them as a big handful on the overnight oats that I have in the morning, or in chia pudding, or even blended into a smoothie. And don't get me wrong, frozen are just as nutritious as the fresh stuff, because the frozen stuff is frozen at peak ripeness and they last for ages. It's a fraction of the price, so I always have a couple of bags in the freezer. Number 3 is the drink that I have almost every single day, and I usually mix it with a prebiotic fiber supplement because that particular combination, the kefir plus prebiotic fiber, has a transformative effect on overall health, not just the gut microbiome. A 2025 randomized controlled trial by Dr. Amrita Vijay and colleagues in the University of Nottingham compared 3 things in adults: a prebiotic fiber alone, an omega-3 alone, or a synbiotic, which was a combination of fermented kefir combined with a diverse prebiotic fiber blend, which is what I do with LOAM, for example. The good news is that all 3 interventions reduced inflammation, but the kefir plus prebiotic fiber combination had the most powerful and wide-ranging effect by far. It lowered 7 different inflammatory proteins, including IL-6 and interferon gamma, which sounds like the final bosses in some video game, but they're actually linked to chronic disease. Kefir itself is a fermented milk drink, traditionally from cow's or goat's milk. It's tangy, slightly fizzy, and ounce for ounce, it is one of the most microbially diverse foods that you can buy, often having 30 or more strains of live bacteria and yeast. If you compare that to yogurt, for example, which only have a couple, it really does pack a punch, and that's why the diversity really makes it matter. And it's also the reason why I mix my LOAM LOAM prebiotic fiber straight into my kefir every single day. The kefir brings the diverse live cultures, and the LOAM brings the fuel for those microbes and amplifies the health benefits. In full transparency, I am the founder of LOAM, and this is exactly the reason I started thinking about this combination in the first place, because most fiber supplements use a single type of fiber, which only feeds bacteria in one stretch of your colon and then runs out. I designed LOAM around something I think of as fermentation geography. 6 different fibers that ferment at different speeds in different regions of the gut. Fast fermenting fibers feed the first stretch, slow fermenting fibers reach deeper into the colon, so you're feeding bacteria across the entire length of your colon, not just the front half. Now, kefir isn't your only option. Greek yogurt is genuinely a great choice too, fewer strains, but it still brings the live cultures plus a major hit of protein, about 16 to 20 grams of protein in 200 grams of yogurt. And if you're dairy-free, plant-based yogurts are totally fine as well. Just check the label says live and active cultures, because some plant yogurts are essentially just a milk alternative with no live microbes in them. Live and active cultures is the phrase that you're looking for. Get that and you will get the benefits. Number 4 is a viral social media trend that actually doesn't send you to the emergency room. 1 tablespoon serves up around 5 grams of fiber, and it gels when it hits the water. And that gel plays an important role because it slows the stomach emptying so you stay fuller for longer, and it feeds your gut bacteria as a prebiotic, and it pulls the water into your stool to keep you regular. It's also one of the best plant sources of the omega-3 ALA. We're obviously talking about chia seeds. Now, chia maxing is one of those trends where people seem to be optimizing their health with what looks like frog spawn, but most of them are missing out on a lot of the goodness that these tiny seeds pack because they miss out on a simple part of the process that just takes 5 seconds. And this was highlighted in one study where postmenopausal women took 25 grams of chia seeds every day for 7 weeks, and their blood levels of omega-3 ALA rose by 138%, while EPA rose by 30%, but only because they were eating ground chia seed. The reason grinding the seeds makes a difference is because the hard outer shell of the seed can pass through you undigested, keeping the omega-3s locked up and eventually pooped out, which is just your body's way of saying, nice try. On the other hand, grinding the seeds makes the omega-3s far more bioavailable, and that's why trials comparing ground chia seeds to whole chia seeds found that the ground seeds significantly raise the blood ALA and EPA, while the whole seeds don't. So literally just a 5-second spin in a grinder genuinely changes what your body absorbs, and I personally use it by spooning it into almost any smoothie that I have, or even the classic overnight chia pudding. 2 or 3 or even 4 if you want tablespoons of chia, a cup of any milk of your choice, kefir, plant milk, and some oats if you like, and then berries on top. Warning, you will be fiber maxing. All of this is literally 5 minutes of prep the night before, and in the morning you've got a beautiful fiber max breakfast waiting for you to have glorious dumps. And of course, number 5, the humblest one and the one I eat most and regularly turn into an exquisite fart demon, chickpeas. And legumes in general, lentils, beans, as well as chickpeas. Most people avoid these foods for one simple reason, but before I explain why that reason's wrong, let me start with what the most striking stats are. A 2023 systematic review and meta-analysis pulled 32 studies, over 1 million participants and 90,000 deaths. And they found that for every additional 50 grams of legumes per day, there was a 6% lower risk of all-cause mortality and lower stroke mortality too. Beans are sneakily one of the most consistent foods in the entire longevity literature. They show up time and time again in the diets of the world's longest living populations, just like those AI-generated adverts for a certain type of exercise.
Tai Chi was built for men 40 plus. After 40, the gym breaks you.
You get about 12 grams of fiber in a cooked cup of chickpeas, and that's a mix of multiple soluble fiber types and resistant starches. And resistant starch, by the way, is one of the best prebiotics going for butyrate production. It's that same short-chain fatty acid we mentioned before that is so important to fuel your gut lining and for reducing inflammation. All these beneficial shifts in the gut microbiome with beans, with chickpeas, have been tracked in RCTs, randomized controlled trials. Plus, chickpeas bring plant protein, iron, magnesium, and polyphenols in the skin. They're cheap, they last forever, they go in anything. They are the crocs of nutrition. But let's address the gassy elephant in the room, the wind in the room making you avoid legumes, which is the wrong reason that I mentioned at the start, and to be honest, it stinks. Gas is not a sign that beans are bad for you, rather it's a sign that your microbiome isn't used to them yet. Start small, a couple of tablespoons, not a full bowl on day one. Rinse your canned chickpeas well and give your microbiome 2 to 3 weeks to adapt. The gas will settle as the right bacteria build up, and if you want a gentler starting point, go for lentils first because they're easier for most people. And notice this is the exact same principle as starting any new fiber. Start low, go slow, let your gut adapt, and then it will thrive. The discomfort at the start isn't a stop sign, it is your gut catching up. So that's my 5: kiwis, berries, kefir, chia, chickpeas, and every one of them is backed by actual published studies, not influencer discount codes and marketing. These are obviously not the only things I eat for fiber and my gut health, but I eat for variety, and my fridge looks like a jungle, and that's the point. But these 5 tend to show up very consistently because they're proven, they're affordable, each does a specific job, and I like the taste. So if you change one thing tomorrow, don't do all 5 at once. Just start with the chia seeds or the berries or kiwis. Do it for 2 weeks, see what happens in your own body, see if you notice any difference. Your gut is paying attention to everything you feed it, so feed it well. Let me know which ones you already have in your routine or what works for you, and definitely don't send me any pictures, but do look at your toilet bowl every single morning. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, you walking sentient bag of microbes.